Okay, cool. So, when is your Cybertruck showing up?
That thing is ridiculous. The stats and I think the technology it's using or it's creating is going to be interesting for the industry, but I think it's ridiculous looking. I would never.
You
I
don't
would.
like the way it looks?
I could never drive that around. It's ridiculous. There's a thread I saw this morning about how it might not even be allowed in Europe because in Europe,
Really?
like cars are required to have a crumple zone in the front.
Oh yeah.
And this one is literally stainless steel with like sharp edges on the front. So I was
Yeah, I
rumored
saw
like
that.
it might not even be allowed for sale there.
Yep.
It just ripped through. And I mean, I think there's a clip of Elon even saying, he was like, if you get into a battle with another car, like you're going to win.
Get into a battle. But no, I'm definitely not going to be buying the Cybertruck anytime soon. But like you, I mean, I think we watched the same video on it, right? What is his name? I never can remember his initials. MG.
MKBHD.
Yeah, I love his videos. The production quality is good. But anyway, I watched his video and very impressed with the technology, but the design of it is so, what's the word when it's controversial? It's so
Polarizing.
polarizing. Exactly. And it's interesting that they went with that design. Did you hear about how it kind of got created, by the way? Supposedly. And I don't know how true this is. It could be completely false. So let's keep that in mind. But I heard that Elon was supposedly talking to his son. And the son was like, why don't trucks look like the future? Or why doesn't the future look like the future? Something like that. So it probably didn't happen, to be honest. But then that got Elon thinking, let's completely redesign the truck, which I love that concept, to be honest, because, you do get stuck in that, right? I mean, industries get stuck. Computer industry is a perfect example. I mean, laptops have not changed essentially in the past 30 years, but people get stuck in that, and then you kind of got to come in and reinvent it. But it's pretty crazy they went with that design. And yeah, I can't imagine, like I saw where he's like hammering it, someone's hammering it with a sledgehammer, not a single scratch, dent, anything. And can you imagine if that hit another car? I mean,
In the body
yeah.
shop for weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it'd go right through another car, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the bullet testing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's quite impressive. I think it alludes to like how other companies, for example, like the AI pin, like that product is not something I would ever buy, but it's an interesting thing that moves the industry forward, I think.
Yes. Now the AI pen, I think you need to give some context there in case I didn't watch the first episode. What is the AI pen?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So for those that don't know, the AI pin is the ridiculous standalone device that it's $700 standalone device that requires a $24 a month subscription, and it has
Jeez.
no screen, has like some laser embedded thing. I don't know. It was ridiculed. I made a video about it that did pretty well, but there's interesting tech, I think, inside that where it being packaged in that way might not necessarily be the way that succeeds right now, but I think it alludes towards the future of where consumable or wearable technology can go.
Yeah.
And I think so much of it is coming from like Hollywood and the movie Her, and people are literally just trying to like build
Yeah.
what they know. I mean, Elon Musk is literally, I think, like he's trying to be Tony Stark. I remember there's a quote from him on Joe Rogan where he was like, well, what is a house? He's talking about building a house, and he's like, well, what does a house look like for you, Elon? And he's like, well, you got to have, the pool with the thing that slides apart and a helicopter that comes out of the pool. It's like straight out of James Bond or literally out of Marvel and Tony Stark stuff.
Yeah. What was I? Oh, but wasn't there some controversy that happened with that company recently? Like something, I thought I saw that in your video or something. Anyway, maybe not. But yeah, the AI pen, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't see myself using that, walking around with a talking ChatGPT on my.
No, it's public. Like that's
Yeah.
probably the first worst part about it. It's like
It's completely public.
It's completely public. So
You'll be sitting there standing in line at the DMV or whatever, and then the thing goes off, you know?
So the other thing that I just started seeing more, and maybe this is why in the release there, it's like steer by wire or something. But ever since that came out, I've seen that in like 4 other places. And I think it's a signal. It's like, oh yeah, he's using a term or he's using that term for marketing, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. Did you notice how his quote that went super viral about him saying, go fuck yourself to advertisers, that was the day or the day before the Cybertruck was released? Like, this guy's a marketing genius. Like, he knows to go.
He's very good.
It's almost like the Kardashians. You get yourself in some, hoopla, or Kanye. Kanye is a better even example of this. He'll stir up controversy and then drop an album like that next day. I mean, he's done that so many times over. I mean, it's a playbook. And I think we were even talking about this a while back. Like, once you know, and I've started to see this myself, like once you know that social media is a game, and you realize that people are playing characters to leverage social media to do their bidding, it becomes much more easier to like dissociate yourself from that character.
Right.
And one of the things that I've always told people is show your work. And I think that's a really good mentality to get started, to get to the realization point that you eventually do need to become a character.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And I think people like Elon just know that and lean into it as like 1,000-fold.
Yeah, and I think there's multiple ways to do it, like multiple paths you can take. And, some people choose, like we choose to be more authentic with the character we're portraying or whatever you want to call it. But I think Elon obviously is a little more willing to go that controversial route, and he doesn't care if he upsets people and has a personality that is not a little, but quite polarizing to some groups for sure. But yeah, I mean, as far as a marketing standpoint, he's really good at it's almost like a cult of personality. Have you heard that term before?
Well, and I think it's also tied to money, like, because there's two kind of narratives that came out of him saying that quote, whereas like, he's post money, or this idea of like he's not beholden to anybody. Well, that's not necessarily true. Like, he's beholden to a lot of investors and a lot of people, but they know as well as he knows that he's got several other trillion-dollar companies in the pipeline that will IPO. And as long as they are like, oh yeah, we'll fork you 20 billion, and if it goes to zero, no problem, because we know that you have Starlink, SpaceX, Boring Company, like all these that have yet to go public, that are all going to be hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars, and that's all that these people care about. So like,
you realize, of course, Twitter is almost like his weird side project, right? It's like his weird side thing that he's working on, whereas his primary, although he's spending so much time on it, it seems, I don't really know what he's doing, right? No one knows, but yeah, that's his weird social media side project that, I mean, I need to look at the latest figures, but it seems like according to him, it's going back up, right? But according to the rest of the world, it seems like advertisers are fleeing the platform because they're worried about perception.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what's like the most interesting about this is who cares? Like, if every single advertiser leaves and Twitter has zero revenue,
right? He's fine.
Him and his investors will just continue to run the platform because it's the social good center of the universe platform. And what does he care? Like, and I think that's the mentality of that quote is like, you're going to blackmail me with money. Like, I'm above money, which is
at this point,
which is
the wealthiest.
He's the wealthiest person like in history. And I think that's the odd thing out when looking at some of these other public figures like Bob Iger, who's a legacy, killer CEO.
Yeah, although I would argue he's not the wealthiest person in history, maybe according to what can be measured easily. But I've seen arguments that, Crassus from ancient Rome was, much more wealthy. And then there's, Chinese politicians and stuff that are much more wealthy. Certainly Putin is theorized to be a trillionaire as far as the holdings he controls. But as far as actual ownership in I guess what you call a capitalist society, then yeah, he's the wealthiest person out there.
Oh yeah, I think where does everyone go to get money?
Yeah,
The
yeah, we were talking
Saudis.
about that.
So
Yeah,
like I think the Saudis are worth trillions.
they had to be.
They
Yeah,
have to be because like they're just buying PGA, like they're just buying they're just buying sports leagues, entire not teams, leagues. Like yeah, and even Elon is going there to get money. Everyone,
get
Sam
money.
Altman is going there to get the money that now OpenAI is committing. Did you see that news? How they're committing $51 million to,
Yep,
I think it's
yep.
called Rain. Was it Rain?
Rain AI. Yeah, it's on
Rain
my
AI.
notes this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So apparently the news I think for that was there was news that came out that OpenAI committed to a letter of intent
Mm-hmm.
for $51 million purchase of AI specific ASIC chips that are developed by a company called Rain, where Sam Altman is also theoretically, allegedly an investor or part owner or part of the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of unclear.
Yeah.
But I think that sent a lot of the initial headline media readers off into a hoopla, saying, "Oh, there's conflict of interest, blah blah blah, whatever." And it's like, well, he's the head, like he's the leader of the AI industry. Essentially, he's probably going to have investments in every major AI company out there. He's probably met with every major AI related company.
Mm-hmm.
I think if this company has the best product, yeah, it would make sense that he would invest in it, and it would make sense that OpenAI would use them as the provider.
Yeah, and then I saw some other. So I actually covered this on my Instagram a bit in a carousel, but it's interesting to say the least because you got to remember, from as far as I understand, because I don't believe some of the deals are made public, but he has no investment, he has no equity in OpenAI, and so then it begs the question, like, what is his motive, right? Everybody always has a motive. Maybe he's just truly altruistic. But yeah, it seems like he has a massive investment in this Rain AI. They're building a neuromorphic processing unit, which supposedly is intended to mimic the brain's features. Need more information on that. That's for sure. That's really interesting if that's the case. But I'm not even sure. That could just be marketing speak, right? Let's see if there's anything else interesting in here. Oh, and this Rain AI, I don't know if you heard about this, but they've had some controversy as well. So their CEO really has no background in silicon manufacturing, basically, and manufacturing these types of chips. He's actually a lawyer. And so people on Reddit were saying, how's this dude even getting funding for this Rain AI? Apparently there were some leadership changes at one point, removal of a Saudi Arabian affiliated fund that was funding it. So anyway, it's interesting, but I think ultimately, or at least the conclusion I came to in this carousel was that, these type of deals are quite common in the tech industry. It's a tangled web of like different deals, and I guess we just have to leave it up to the SEC to decide what is ethical and what is not.
Yeah, and I don't think we can take the board's take on anything anything really now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the interesting part. Like Sam now has full control. Like he'll never be
Do you think?
like I don't think he'll ever be terminated from that company now. Like
But he's got no equity. I
would have
guess
to be
later on down the
something so bad.
line. I guess maybe later on down the line, once he's performed so well, they could, distribute a massive amount of equity to him. But yeah, it's a weird situation. It's weird people don't talk about that more. About like even before the controversy happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very weird situation to have a nonprofit board controlling a for-profit company.
Well, I think he already has to be a billionaire.
Oh, he's almost apparently. Yeah,
because
he's
with
almost
all
a
this,
billionaire.
I saw the article about all the property that he bought
Mhm.
over, and he bought like a $26 million mansion here and a $46 million. I mean, if you're buying a $46 million mansion,
Yeah,
you
can
have
you
to
imagine?
have, I mean, you're putting whatever percentage down minimum. You have to have hundreds of millions of dollars liquid to do that, which means
I don't know how those deals get done. Actually, I would have to.
I don't know
I
either.
would be.
But
I'd be very surprised if they're investing. So one thing, it wouldn't make financial sense to drop 50 million. Well, I guess it really depends, right? Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to ask Eli, actually, my realtor, because
and
he
more than
may have some
one.
exposure.
Like it was, a
Yeah.
40 million here, a 20 million here, a 13 million here. It's like what? And I don't know. It's just
But
interesting.
at that point, maybe it's for storing money, right? Because
Maybe.
I mean, we know real estate goes up, and if you have that much money and you're trying to liquidate some of it, it makes more sense to store it in a piece of real estate that you know is going to appreciate over the next 10 years.
There was
Anyway,
there was a take from D on the group chat news podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And he was saying how he was in some tech presentation interview where Greg Brockman was speaking.
right,
And co-founder of OpenAI. And
right,
he didn't say what he was talking about, but he said, like, after I heard him speak, my view changed on the outlook of the company. He was like, I now believe
Really?
that they are for the good of the people, and they're actually trying to build something that is going to benefit humanity. And this is, and in my opinion, D is the most cynical of the three on the show. He's the least likely to, give anybody, an inch. And hearing him completely flip his opinion on OpenAI and kind of in general, because his take on that previously was not negative, but it wasn't pro,
Right.
in a sense. It's always, with layers of skepticism. And then this last episode, he was just like, yeah, heard him talk. Now I'm super for it. And that was really interesting. So I'm like, okay, Sam's this one guy that we hear about, but Greg, the co-founder, is this other guy that maybe we don't hear from enough. But on Twitter, he's super active. He's been posting almost daily selfie photos of him with different people on the team. Like
Wow.
I know for a fact that Greg is, working at the company, interacting with people on the team, whereas potentially Sam is going out, talking with investors, doing interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that actually makes complete sense. Isn't he like their COO, their operations person? Let me see.
No, I think that's Lightcap. Brad Lightcap is the COO.
So then what is...
I think Greg is CTO. He's president, chairman, and co-founder.
Huh. It's interesting. We've been so focused building over the past 6 months that I really haven't looked into these people too much. I mean, Sam Altman, I kind of know his background because he's so front-facing, but that's really interesting. Greg Brockman. So he heard this. Did he like put a link to that discussion or anything in his show notes?
No, I think it was a private. He was being really cagey about it. He was like, I don't really want to say who was there or who was like. I was
Wow.
like, whoa, what is this?
That sounds suspicious.
Yeah.
What is Brockman's background? Huh, interesting. So he was a software developer. He started out at Stripe, it looks like, in 2010. That was a good time to be at Stripe.
Yeah, I think that's where all these guys made all their money. They probably sold in secondary at Stripe when it was worth, $300 billion in private markets. And
Was Sam Altman at Stripe? I don't think so,
I
right?
don't think so. But
Maybe that's
he
where
was
some of the team...
he was YC. He was the head of YC. So I think
Right.
Stripe was through YC, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember the history of that, but you may be
don't
right.
either.
Certainly it was in the
It's in that
SV,
cohort.
the Silicon. Yeah, exactly. Although Stripe is an interesting product to talk about because I'm surprised Stripe isn't, I always say this, but I'm so surprised that Stripe isn't valued more. I mean, like half the internet, I feel like the payments go through. Let's see, what is...
Well, I think that's a management problem, in my opinion. Like, they should have gone public 5 years ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, it was rumored. I mean, it was rumored at the heights of the valuations at the end of whatever it was, 2020, when everything was right before COVID. They were, valued almost near 400 billion in private, and before pre-IPO, they were valued at 400 billion.
I'm trying to look at their market share.
But I think in privates now they're worth like 80 to 90
billion.
Yeah, in private.
So they lost value.
Yeah. Well, I think the entire market in private lost. Everybody that was priced at that crazy multiple had to be cut by 80, 70 to 90% in terms of valuation.
I didn't realize that. I haven't been staying on track with this stuff. Interesting.
Oh, and this is, all from what I'm gathering from like the All In Pod and, the VCs who are talking about this stuff. So it's all, I don't have firsthand experience. It's all just, from what I'm hearing these other VCs talk about on their podcasts.
I see. So yeah. How do you listen to podcasts, by the way? Are you because I don't drive a whole lot now, or at least not long commutes to anything. So I don't listen to podcasts as much. Do you just throw it on in the background or something?
I try to do it when I'm working out.
Oh, that's a pretty good idea. I hadn't considered that.
So yeah, I'll usually listen to podcasts when I'm working out. I mean, in the morning, I listen to podcasts too, like before I'm online, like if I'm making breakfast and stretching, just kind of hanging out in the morning, I'll throw on a podcast. Like this morning, I had a podcast up on YouTube because I pay for YouTube Premium now. So I have the YouTube music, and it's quite useful, to be honest, like having it on my phone and then being able to just lock my phone or like use it like that. It's worth it to me. And it's crazy that it's like $20 a month or something, I think.
I don't know how much it is. I don't know how much I'm paying, but
it's quite expensive.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's like about the same price as Netflix, if not a little more. But like I've told you this before, like I watch so much YouTube. YouTube is actually the default kind of thing we go to. And I don't know if it's because it's just valuable or because, attention. I tried to watch Oppenheimer this weekend, right? It's all ready to go. Lily's, not here right now. She's traveling. And I was like, okay, let me sit down and watch Oppenheimer because usually she doesn't love, long movies. I could not get into it, Ross. I could literally not get into the Oppenheimer story. And so I just switched to YouTube.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know, and I feel this too with especially a lot of these movies that have come out this year that are like the big, I haven't watched it yet, but the Killers of the Flower Moon, whatever. I think that's the latest De Niro, Scorsese, I think, DiCaprio movie. But that one also is long and, from what I'm hearing, quite boring. And it brings the word or phrase in my mind right now is TikTok brain.
Yeah, I haven't heard that phrase, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's like just hyper short-term attention span. And I catch myself doing this more and more often now than ever before. Like
just with YouTube Shorts, right?
Or just with anything. Just like, I'm something's on the screen or something, like watching a movie, but then all of a sudden I'm looking at Reddit and it's like the movie's still going. Yes. But it's in between an action scene. So it's like, I don't really need to watch. Or it's like ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why going to the movies, it's almost a way to like force yourself, because you can't pull out the phone. You have to focus. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, like how the movie industry goes. Is it going to continue to kind of wane off and we have these other forms of entertainment that come about, or is it just going to always fulfill a certain niche? I don't know.
I think more and more people are gonna continue to use YouTube. Like an interesting thing about that is how comedians are starting to upload their entire sets to YouTube rather than seek a deal with like a Netflix or an HBO or a far gone Comedy Central. I mean, that's a platform that died off. Like they're finding more success in posting it for free to YouTube to get the exposure to then use to upsell to tickets, to get ticket sales. And
that is wild.
There's a comedian that just did this recently, Matt Rife, where he went viral on a couple different platforms. And then I think it was rumored that he sold almost 750,000 tickets on this tour that he's doing. And he's like a brand new comedian, like, within the last 2 years, he's gained notoriety. And did a special on YouTube, and then just I think had his first special on Netflix, which I to be honest I couldn't really get into, but I liked his content on YouTube, which was it made me watch the one on, it maybe at least start it on Netflix, so which was interesting. But if I can't get into it, I just stop it now.
Yeah, same. Well, yeah, I mean, that highlights something interesting that actually we're seeing and we're experiencing ourselves, you and I and the rest of the team, and that is that for the first time, one of the first times in history, it's so there's been platforms that have been built to where a small team can literally just bootstrap these things without having to use a more established network. It's so easy to just create content and just push it out and not have to go through what would you call that? Like a media agency prior to this? I don't know. Like through an intermediary, essentially.
Yeah. Content hub or an agency. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost as much. I mean, all you have to do is upload it to YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. There's that weightlifter who I cannot remember his name.
Sam Sulek.
Yep. Exactly. And he just started uploading videos, authentic videos that resonate with his audience. And he's seen massive success on YouTube just doing that.
Yeah, that type of content I think resonates really well especially once the algorithm starts pushing it. Because once you find your audience and have the retention of viewership, like I can't imagine the retention on some of this video, like these videos that he's posting are like 45 minutes to an hour long. I mean, oh yeah.
Yeah, that YouTube video I watched about him kind of described it as, and this was this guy's theory, right? This isn't, confirmed, but he thinks that people that think of it as like talking to a trusted friend, and
mm-hmm.
and that is maybe missing from people's lives in many cases, especially after the post-pandemic world where we're all kind of separated and many of us working from home. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Is everyone going to end up, imagine the future, this dark future that people are envisioning on like subreddits like Singularity. Robots do everything and humans are just YouTubers just vying for attention. Who knows?
AGI, yeah.
Yeah. AGI. Did you hear about this concept that Elon talked about, which I had never heard, Ross, but it made complete sense and it kind of scared me a bit. So Elon said, yeah, we're going to, at some point we're going to make digital God is what he called it. And I was like, wow, digital God. That is exactly what like an ASI, a super intelligence would be, right?
Yeah.
Like humans can't find evidence of God. So what do? We go and we make it.
We build it. Yeah.
We build God. Anyway, it blew my mind. I'd never thought of it like that.
That's funny. Yeah.
Digital God. Yeah. And the way he did it was like so nonchalant. Yeah. Humans are going to make digital God. I was like, what? I never thought of that.
Or it kind of go ahead.
No, say it, because I'm going to switch to a related topic, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So did you hear in that everyone's freaking out, right, on these subreddits, especially the Singularity subreddit, which every now and then I like to walk in there and check it out because some of the claims on there are insane. But Bill Gates and others, I think you've posted some videos about this, but they feel generative AI has kind of plateaued. GPT-5 will not be better. That we're kind of reaching the limits of an LLM.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say is this concept of how LLMs are not AGI. There's no way an LLM can be an AGI. It has to be what's post LLM, and I think that's where this idea of whatever Q star, this idea of this thing called whatever this next iteration of AI stuff is, Q star maybe is a good placeholder term for it, where it can do more intense function like math, which then leads to advanced math, which then leads to code breaking. And I think maybe that's where the concern from the board of OpenAI potentially arose from is, oh, well, if this could break nuclear codes, then maybe that's not something we should build, which is inherently ridiculous, but I can understand, the pathway, how this goes. or the pathway that they saw in their mind that led them to that decision. But
Right.
I don't think that it's funny. I see one post where it's like, oh, we have AGI. The next post is we're going to have AGI in 2024. The next post is it's 2025. The next post it's 2030. No one knows. Like everyone's, and I think this brings back to something that we were talking about earlier. Like this is still such a new technology in the grand scheme of things. Everyone's just making stuff up as they go along, seeing what works, what doesn't work. And those that are finding success, I think, are the ones that are able to test and iterate that stuff, talk with people as much as possible to then actually use it and leverage it for something that's actually useful.
Yeah, 100% agree. And very few teams have as much experience as we do at this point, trying to work with ChatGPT, chaining it into an existing product and making it work reliably for actual real business use cases. I mean, I can't name a lot of products that are doing that. Yeah, as we were talking about earlier today, I mean, for certain business use cases that we use it for, I mean, it works pretty well, especially as a way to interface, like to handle a conversation. And it can certainly do basic tasks, really, really well, scheduling appointments, answering stuff from a knowledge base. It's really, really great at summarization overall, right? I use it all the time for that. But the idea that it's going to be your accounting team anytime soon is completely ridiculous. I mean, that is completely ridiculous, especially with current version. Because, like I was telling you earlier today via Slack, like, can you imagine that conversation, how that would go? Like, you've gotten it all set up. ChatGPT is your accountant. It's categorizing things, and then suddenly it miscategorizes something as an expense that should have been, handled in some other way. And how are the developers going to explain that to the boss, right? Oh, we have no idea what happened. You literally cannot track why it makes decisions. And anyway, yeah, it's years off from being able to do that. So,
and I think years off in people's brains too of how this stuff is utilized. It's not a replacement; it's the enhancement. And this is something that we've been saying from the very beginning. This is not like the end all be all. Like there has to be stuff around it to actually make it be useful. And that reminds me of the article that I shared earlier from OpenAI COO Brad Lightcap, and how he thinks AI for business is overhyped.
Yep.
And how in that article from The Verge, it basically talks about how most businesses are failing or implementing AI, and then it's causing more work for their employees rather than helping them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have probably one of the best use cases for business usage with AI after just talking with so many people.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's inherently a simple use case, right? It's like scheduling an appointment and qualifying a lead, and the other various use cases like answering questions based on knowledge base. Those are not super complex, right? And they do not require, if it goes wrong, it's not going to kill things. But the moment you add more complexity, it just falls apart. And especially when you need, but I think the key is like, so the accounting example again, right? I think we're far away from a bot being able to be a reliable accountant, that's for sure. But what it could certainly do, and we've thought about adding features like this before, but it could give recommendations, right? Oh, how do I handle this? Oh, well, based on this, you can handle this transaction this way. And here's the link from the knowledge base where you can go and research that and confirm that I'm, working properly, that type of thing.
Yeah. I think it's going to take more time for people to be able to come up with those use cases and figure out how to implement them and how they would be useful. Because I think we're just realizing that now. People are even just realizing how the standard knowledge base data recollection, this whole term RAG, retrieval augmented, whatever it's called.
Retrieval augmented generation.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful.
People love their acronyms.
Yeah, it's all a way to get around the fact that the LLM has a limited amount of memory, right? So you can't send it a massive amount of text, or at least that's not how they have it set up. I'm certainly not a person who knows how to build an LLM at this point, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's all a way to get around the limitation of that.
But with GPT-4 Turbo, though, we should be able to increase that, right?
Should be able to increase it substantially. Now, one interesting thing is they did say that they say in their documentation, or maybe this was in the present. No, I think it's in the documentation. They said that basically they said, be careful, it's not ready for production volume, which
Mm.
I don't know what that means. Does that mean it's going to break, I guess, if it gets high enough, that the amount of transactions going through for them? So
Is that why they're saying it's called preview?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
right. In the model name, it has literally preview in there.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. I mean, we've had people use it, and I've used it.
We've
Obviously,
used it, yeah.
I think
That-
we've actually used it all the time indirectly through their user interface, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I switched all my bots over to it pretty much instantly.
Yeah, and I haven't really had any problems. Now, it's interesting because the behavior is slightly different. I can see that, and that's why we're adjusting some of our scheduling approaches is to better align with the way it does it now. But overall, it seems great, and the response is certainly much quicker. Half the cost is half, if not more.
Yeah.
One interesting piece of news that I don't think you and I have talked about at all. I certainly haven't seen it in your content, but supposedly the U.S. Navy is going to start trialing the use of AI to track Chinese submarines in the Pacific. So
That's interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I don't know what technology that could be. As something as simple as like, oh, that could even be heuristics. So just basically a bunch of if statements, because who knows? AI is not a term that has a hard definition. That's for sure.
Yeah, it could be just a front for some government contractor to rip a couple billion off of the top of our military spend a year.
Oh, in fact, here's a comment here from, well, I had to be careful because this guy, his username already is Florida Gatorman, but he said, I don't know how reliable this is. He says it's not really AI, it's them using models to detect patterns in underwater detection devices, which makes a bit more sense. So it's not like they're using, off the shelf ChatGPT to go in and analyze things.
It would be funny to test that because I bet you it would be comparable, if not better.
ChatGPT?
Yeah, for whatever like use case that they're doing, like if they could implement it in a way that would be useful, it would probably be better.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, OpenAI is certainly probably what the masters in the world at this point about training models, because I've never trained a model like that is for sure. But apparently it's a dark art of training models. There's not like from the brief research I've done, there's apparently not accepted, like training it takes a lot of instinct and just trying things out and seeing how this affects it and works. And yeah, it does not sound like a fun type of software development. That's for sure. Probably similar in some ways to the complexity we're dealing with, sometimes things get weird when you're dealing with a model. It's not going to behave always like you think it will.
Especially when there's so many different edge cases that it's trying to, do. I think that's where I think these LLMs, the next iteration of them will kind of come up. This is the one that's hyper trained specifically for legal or medical or cleaning, rain gutters.
Exactly.
I think there's
it makes complete sense. Yeah.
There'll be a convergence of open source and private models, because right now I think the GPT-4 is still the best in terms of all edge cases. But looking at HuggingFace, there's a lot of models on there that claim to beat it in certain tests or certain. But most of the time, those tests are ultra specific to random
Certain
things
use
that are
cases.
not ever going to be used by like a human ever.
Yeah, and we know that as well. Supposedly, I haven't actually tested it and tried, but for semantic search, which is searching on meaning, meaning of a phrase or a group of words rather than just, exact string matching. For semantic search, supposedly, even simple models like BERT from Google do a better job of that than ChatGPT. Now, that being said, we've used ChatGPT's embeddings for that, and it works very, very well. So, yeah, but I mean, there's a ton of use cases of those models on HuggingFace, which I don't even know how HuggingFace got so big so quick. Maybe they've been around for years, and I just didn't notice it until the whole AI thing came up. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of models on there that for certain use cases can perform almost as well as GPT-4. But overall, I agree with you. GPT-4 is the most performant of all the ones I've tried.
Yeah.
In fact, did you see that tutorial video I made like months ago about launching your own uncensored model? I think it was it was a variation of Llama, and I did it using runpod.io. So I got it all launched. I was messing around with it, and I was not impressed with it at all. The performance was nothing like GPT-4, and now it was more like pre 3.5. I'd say is what the performance was. Not amazing. Now, of course, I'm sure you can train it, like bolt on and train it additionally, but not everybody has the skills and the time to kind of do that. So I don't know what I'm saying, but I think eventually, I don't know where open source models are going to fall, basically, because they all right now are like a generation behind GPT-4.